One call can change a game. One call, one decision can completely alter the outcome or potential outcome of a football game. And that's what we just saw today as Notre Dame beat Georgia 23-10 in the Sugar Bowl to advance to the Orange Bowl against Penn State in the CFP Semifinals next week. That's what we saw. That's what I saw. That's what you saw. Kirby Smart blew this game for Georgia. He blew any opportunity for the Georgia Bulldogs to win a game in which they were so severely undermanned due to the loss of Carson Beck. But before we jump in, thank you so much for continuing to support this channel. It is now January 2nd. I hope you had a blessed and happy new year again. If you're new to the channel, please be sure to like, subscribe, follow, ring that bell, leave a comment, give me your opinion on what happened what happened in today's game. Notre Dame is the victor. They finally got over that hump of beating one of these big bad SEC schools that have been kicking their ass for so many years when Notre Dame has advanced into the college football playoff. Notre Dame was the better team, period. And I think Notre Dame is actually better than Georgia, even with Carson Beck, because Georgia struggled even when Beck played. You can look at the first half of that Alabama game. You can look at the Ole Miss game in which they got absolutely dominated. And quite frankly, they didn't look that good versus Texas in the first half when he was on the field. They looked bad. It looked bad, and the backup came in, made a few plays, but realistically, Texas shit the bed in that big SEC championship game, which is why Georgia was even in the playoffs. Because if precedent was set the year before with Florida State not getting in when Jordan Travis was knocked out with an injury, I think you clearly saw this team cannot play. This team's offense is bad is not good in general, but is really bad without Carson Beck. I mean, this is a team that has a country-leading 36 drops by receivers, including a huge drop on a deep ball in the third quarter that hit the receiver right in the hands, just flat out dropped it. But Notre Dame dominated this game. Notre Dame dominated the line of scrimmage. Georgia couldn't run the ball. They had no running game whatsoever in this game. It was a beatdown, and it could have been a lot worse. I thought Notre Dame coached a very conservative offensive game plan. Conservative. I think they were reliant on the defense to take care of business, and the defense did for the most part. Gave up 10 points. I mean, they had the one touchdown drive, and that was basically it. But right before the first half ends, it's 6. Notre Dame just kicks a field goal. It's 6-3. It's 6-3. And Kirby Smart on the ensuing kickoff with the ball at his own 25-yard line decides I'm gonna try to create something with a backup quarterback who is throwing mostly swing passes, short passes, the whole nine, to the point where you can't run the ball at all. And he decides, let's drop back and throw the ball on first down with like under 40 seconds left from their own 25-yard line. And what happens? Notre Dame, who got relentless pressure on the QB the whole game, relentless pressure, gets strip sacked. Gunnar Stockton has his elbow twerked, loses the ball, sack, fumble, Notre Dame's ball inside the 15-yard line, and one play later, it's 13-3 going into halftime. And at that point, I made a short video. And I'm going to show it to you. Because I posted it on Instagram because it really, really, really bugged me a great deal to see a coach not understand what it's. Sometimes these coaches really just think they know more than they know, and they think they have some secret sauce because you know who's on your team, you know what you've got out there, and you know that your quarterback is not going to put up 24 or 28 points today. You know this. So the only way you're going to win this game is if your defense creates some turnovers, creates short field, and that they keep the game close. And they did their job. They did their job. They only give like 135 yards at halftime. And it's 6-3. And instead, it's now 13-3. Notre Dame gets the ensuing kickoff and returns it, touchdown. It's now 23. Game was over at that point. Game was over. Now I'm going to show you the video that I created, the short, because I just thought it was really, really interesting, to say the least. Let me find that video. All right, here you go. This is me. This is right at the half, after that play, after Notre Dame scores. This is what I had to say. Don't mind the caption because that's auto-created. Let me play this for you.
What exactly was Kirby Smart thinking about when he decides to put the ball in the...
Why did it do that?
Y'all telling me.
What exactly was Kirby...
Oh, it's the reel. My bad, folks. I apologize. Let me play the reel.
Smart thinking about when he decides to put the ball in the hands of his backup quarterback, who's led them to 3 points in the first half against an elite Notre Dame defense. What was he thinking? You have a 6-3 game. The ball's at the 25-yard line after Notre Dame scores. You put your knee down. You go to halftime. You regroup, and you keep playing defense. Instead, no, Kirby Smart thinks he knows more than everybody else knows, and he decides we're going to drop back to pass when we've basically been handcuffing the quarterback most of the first half because we know the expectations from him are not very, very high. But let's drop him back to pass. He gets his arm wrenched. He gets sacked. He fumbles, and now Notre Dame has the ball inside the 15. And they put the ball in the end zone to make it 13-3 going into the first half, into halftime. Utterly the dumbest thing I've seen from Kirby Smart since he's been head coach at Georgia. Ridiculously foolish. Go to the half, 6-3. The only chance you had to win this game was defensively. Your offense isn't scoring points. They're not going to score 20. Notre Dame's defense is too good. Just foolish. And Notre Dame gets the ball to start the second half. This game could be 20-3 when they see the ball again. Awful decision by Kirby Smart.
So now that you got it right there, you heard me. I said this at halftime. And what happened? It was 20-3 before they got the ball again. Call me a prophet. Here, because it was 20-3 before they saw the ball again. And I said it. And they're lucky it wasn't 27-3. Because after they scored to make it 23, they pretty much got Georgia off the field real fast, got the ball back. And then that's when I thought Notre Dame went really, really conservative. They weren't really trying to press anything downfield. They weren't, man, my beard is such a mess, guys. I got to get my beard taken care of. They weren't pressing anything down the field. They were a lot of it was running down the middle. I don't know why they ran the ball inside the tackles so much, because where they really were hitting them was on the outside. But they kept running the ball down the middle. It was a lot of very, very, very conservative, because they knew they had the game under control, and they knew the only real way that Georgia could get back in the game was to create some turnovers, which is why Georgia was blitzing the hell out of Riley Leonard. They were hoping to make him a mistake. But when you're running the ball primarily, where the passes are short passes, like, what? He's throwing the ball away. But Kirby Smart blew it. As I said, the game was 20-3 before they got the ball back. So what happens if that kick return happens for a touchdown? And I believe that certain things happen because of other things that have happened. I believe that kick return probably doesn't happen if they don't make it 13-3 right before the half. There was a massive momentum shift in that game at that point. Like, Georgia players know who's playing quarterback. They know they don't have the Brock Bowers and the Liam McConkeys playing, catching the ball. They know what they've got. They know that even with Carson Beck this year, they've struggled on offense. So you have a backup quarterback who they couldn't run the ball at all. At all. I mean, they ran the ball for 62 yards on 29 carries, 2.1 yards. They couldn't run the ball. And 28 yards was on one play. Whereas Notre Dame and Notre Dame didn't run the ball that great either. But Riley Leonard ran the ball. And Leonard, as a passer, he had 90 yards. I mean, think about this for a second. Georgia held Notre Dame to 244 yards of offense and lost 23-10. Special teams, coach. If they don't go for it before the half, if they don't do that before the half, it's 6-3. And let's say even if they do make it 13-3 on the kickoff return, let's say even if that happens, let's just say it. You have a situation in which you had that game 16, it would otherwise would have been 16-10. This guy was going for it like the game was over in the third quarter. I think when you go for it at midfield with 8 minutes to go and stuff like that, you put yourself in a bad situation. You really do. You don't help yourself. Those 2 turnovers that they committed, they were bad. They had a fumble going in. I think it was early in the first quarter, second quarter. There was a fumble going in on a big hit. Notre Dame made plays. Notre Dame's relentless. This is a really, I mean, I don't know how the hell this team lost to Northern Illinois. I mean, you can tell me whatever you want and say it's early. How the hell did these guys lose to Northern Illinois? It's beyond me. But we are looking at a potential. Definitely going to have unless Notre Dame wins the national championship, we're going to have a 2-loss champion. Because Notre Dame's the only one with 1 loss. You have Penn State has 2 losses, Ohio State has 2 losses, and Texas has 2 losses. I'm thankful we won't have to see Texas and Georgia again because that would have been an absolute disgrace, especially if Texas had won the game and now you won the national championship because you beat Georgia at the right time when in fact it could have been. I mean, you lost 2 of 3 to Georgia, but you won the right game when their quarterback wasn't playing. I mean, hey, whatever. But now you have the situation where you have I'm waiting for the play-by-play to come up on ESPN. I don't know why they haven't popped it up yet. I'm gonna see if I can find it. But there were situations in that fourth quarter where I thought they should have kicked the field goal, and he played and he really coached the game like scared. He coached the game in a way that I thought was really. It's like, bro, you're not coaching against Nick Saban. Like Nick Saban's not there to scare you, buddy. You know, and because that was the guy who seemed to always destroy Kirby Smart was Nick Saban. Trying to find the play-by-play plays. Okay, here we go. For example, I'll give you an example. 4th and 2, midfield. Was it the fourth quarter or the third? They had a 4th and 2. They're going to go for it. They commit a false start. It's now 4th and 7. They send their punt unit in. Notre Dame commits a delay of game on defense. Now it's 4th and 2. They go for it. Notre Dame stuffs them. I just thought that reeked of desperation. I don't think you go for it. You punt the ball. It's not like Notre Dame's moving the ball up and down the field on offense. They weren't. So I found it very odd that you would do that. It didn't make a lot of sense to me. This is a really crappy play-by-play. Let me find a better one. Well, I can't find a play-by-play yet. They haven't popped one up on any of these sites yet to make it easy to read. But I know there were plays in which they went for it. So they went for it on that 4th and 2. It got stuffed. To me, it reeked a little bit of desperation. I think there was a major one in the fourth quarter where, again, Marcus Freeman completely outcoached Kirby Smart. I think it was fairly obvious what was going to happen, yet they still screwed it up. So they're going to punt the ball 4th and 1 on their own 20. They have a trick play where they rush their punt unit right off the field. I thought they were running a fake punt. They were running their offense right back onto the field. Well, now you have time to sub your guys in for Georgia. I thought the referees gave them way too much time because Notre Dame was on the field with their entire offense. You don't get 20 seconds to sub your guys back in. I thought it was way too long that they got. But they were completely, realistically, Kirby Smart should have called timeout. Right there, Kirby Smart should have called timeout. He made a mistake. Another mistake he made. You call timeout. Your team was not ready for that. You weren't ready for that. So I know they weren't ready for that because you clearly didn't prepare for that. Your team's moving all over the place, and then you have a guy jump off sides with 1 second to go on the play clock or 2 seconds on the play clock. And you knew he was offside. It was like you knew it was going to happen. It does. And what happens? Notre Dame's able to run 5 more minutes off the clock, which pretty much ended the game because it was 23-10. This is right after Georgia could not score. They get stopped at the goal line, incomplete pass at the goal line. On that same possession, there was a pass interference that allowed that drive to continue on 4th down and 13 or whatever, 4th and 10, 4th and 13, whatever it was. They called PI. I didn't think that was pass interference. They can show that shit in slow motion all they want. I didn't find that to be pass interference. I thought the receiver's still running away while he's wrapping his arms around the DB to create contact because he didn't stop and get run into. He's running the other direction and he's turning and he's looking and he's grabbing around the linebacker. And what ends up happening is they call PI. I don't think the linebacker did. I thought he played, other than not turning his head around, like I didn't see that as PI. For all the things that people complain about, there was more contact on other plays that weren't called PI. Now, I was afraid they're going to call PI in the last play on the 4th down play. Again, right there, I think you kick a field goal. There's still 7 minutes to go. Kick a field goal, 23-13, kick, punt, play D. You need short fields, but you can't turn down points. I felt like I was watching Mario Cristobal coach a football game. I really felt like I was in parts of that. Just bad decision making. So they get stopped at the goal line. Bad pass. The pass wasn't close. Anyone that screaming for PI is crazy because it just fell over. You had no balance. Then you get the then they run 5 more minutes off. They ended up running like 7 minutes off that clock because I think it was 9:25 or so when they didn't kick that field goal. You still have a shot, a small one, but you have a shot. Not scoring, you're not punching it in the end zone twice more against this defense. You can barely move the ball. You're struggling to move the ball. You can't run the ball for shit. And don't say that you can't run the ball in the 4th quarter. You can run the ball in the 4th quarter. I think we've seen teams break off runs in the 4th quarter. I mean, it happens all the time. You don't run the ball as the major point, but you have to run the ball a little bit. And I just thought he made massive mistakes. They pretty much ran the clock out. I mean, Riley Leonard on that play where he jumps over the DB Starks to get the first down on 3rd and 7, I think it was. I mean, he really left it out there. He left it on the line. I don't think he played that great, but he did everything that you needed to do to win. He did it, and I think that Penn State Notre Dame game is going to be a really good game. I think it's going to be a really good game. On the other side, you have Texas and Ohio State. Now, the big problem I have now is that this game has to be played on the 9th, whereas Penn State's gotten 2 days of extra relaxation, whereas they should push this game back to the 10th. They should make Ohio State and Texas play on the 9th. I mean, if there was no issue rescheduling the game yesterday to today because of the tragedy in New Orleans, which to me was, I don't think should have been done to begin with. Realistically, what did it do? You're pushing a game back 20 hours. You're still playing the game, and now you're actually putting people, fans, for transportation, hotel accommodations, all kinds of things are now thrown way out of whack for thousands of people. And it's a tragedy what happened, and I'm very, very sorry for what happened up there. But are you going to refund people money because they don't have a hotel or get them a hotel tomorrow? Like that's got to consider these things. So they're so easily able to do that. Not to mention they put the game at 4:00 today. Flipping stupid. It's a CFP game. Why do I got Duke and Ole Miss behind me in the Gator Bowl at 8:00? They could have moved this game to 4 o'clock. Dead ass. This game that's on TV should have been at 4 o'clock. The Sugar Bowl's at 8 o'clock. I didn't know this game was at 4 o'clock until freaking 3:15. Because I looked at ESPN and I'm like, oh, game's at 4. But now you have time to where you can actually make an adjustment. Yes, there's going to be people that are going to be put out that are have to get an extra day of a hotel or an early flight, change their flight. I don't know. But you didn't seem to care too much about these folks that were there for this game. I just think that, you should give them at least another day because you took away a day and Penn State played on New Year's Eve. Nonetheless, Notre Dame played a darn good game defensively. I mean, my God, I wish Al Golden was the defensive coordinator for Miami. He was our head coach, but wasn't very good at that. All that said, big time win by Notre Dame. They finally got over that jinx of not being able to beat an SEC team. Big time win, big performance. And semifinals, I mean, there are no high seeds left. And this is why there should be a 16-team playoff. Giving teams 3 weeks off and then playing a team that played the week before, who's got their legs, who's juiced and all that stuff. You look how you look. And I thought Georgia actually looked best in the first quarter, that said. But you look how you look. And none of those teams that were off really looked that good in the first half. Oregon got run off the field. Georgia had 3 points at halftime. Arizona State was getting dog walked in the first quarter. Hell, they're down 24-8 in the fourth. Came back and made it a game, obviously. Boise did not look good in the first half. Like, none of these teams look good in the first half. And it's not a coincidence that they all were off for 3 weeks. Makes a difference, folks. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let me hear what you guys say about this game. But Kirby Smart, you blew it, bro. You coached like a scared little boy. Just piss poor. Piss poor. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear from the UGA fans what they thought of that, because that was coaching malpractice. Coaching malpractice, in my opinion. Just without a doubt. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Be sure to like, subscribe, follow. Ring that bell. This is Rudy's Rant. Facts for Feelings. Come on now.